How's everybody today? Good. Well, you know, nothing really new after watching the Arkansas film. You know, I think that very pleased with the way our players battled, you know, in the game, really competed hard, kept coming back in the game, had to overcome a lot of adversity. I think especially, you know, pleased with Jake, you know, after a couple, you know, early interceptions, really played better and better as the game went on, which I think speaks volumes for him as a competitor in terms of the way he's maturing and just focusing on, you know, doing what he needs to do to help our team. But, you know, there's still the issue of, you know, a lot of areas where we can improve based on just basic fundamental execution. And, you know, we've always had a system around here of, you know, here's what you need to do, here's how you need to do it, here's why it's important to do it that way, and you got to have the discipline to execute it, you know, down in and down out. And I just think we need to continue to improve, you know, in that area so we can focus on getting things right, and we won't have some of the negative plays that we're having on both sides of the ball. I mean, we've given up, you know, a couple big plays at the end of games that, you know, shouldn't have happened, and we've had a few too many negative plays on offense. You know, especially pleased that Reggie Ragland was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. He certainly had a phenomenal game, and I think he had 26 production points or something, which is the highest of anybody this season. You know, we recognize Calvin Ridley and Kenyon Drake on offense, and Ashawn Robinson and Jaron Reed along with Reggie on defense, and Cyrus Jones and J.K. Scott on special teams. We don't really have any injury, you know, updates or anybody that's injured that is a problem. So, you know, obviously the game coming up is, you know, our primary focus right now against a very good team. You know, Texas A&M is ranked in the top 10, and they're undefeated. And, you know, Kevin Sumlin has done a very, very good job there. His record, you know, certainly indicates that. And they beat some really good opponents and you know, are playing much, much better on defense. And I think John Chavis has done a really good job there. They're not giving up as many points. They're a lot tougher. They're sounder in what they're doing. And offensively, they are one of the top teams in our league. Got a lot of really good skilled players. They've really worked hard on trying to create balance, you know, on their offense this year in terms of being able to run the ball a little bit better, but they're still, you know, one of the most prolific passing teams in the country. Cal Allen has done a really good job at quarterback for them. His passing efficiency rating is one of the tops in the country. They score a lot of points. They make a lot of big plays, and this is certainly going to be, you know, a challenge for our defense. So, you know, tough game on the road, but our players have to focus on what we need to do to execute and do our job well.
Coach, we'll start with Cecil.
Coach, to revisit the last game for a second on the interception return that set up their first touchdown, after that play, Cam Robinson was called for unsportsmanlike conduct, and there's some video that indicates that maybe some of that was instigated on the opposing team's sideline. Have you seen it? Have you talked to Cam about it? And what was your reaction?
No, I really hadn't seen it. This is something that just come up here recently for me. I have not seen it. What I did see was Cam got blocked pretty well on the play by one of their players. In our tape, he got up and shoved another player in frustration. And that's basically what I saw, and that's what I assumed the penalty was for and about. So that's really all I can comment on. And I think when you retaliate and push a player, you can expect to get a penalty. The rest of it I can't really comment about because I hadn't really seen it.
Okay, we'll go on the other side with Matt.
Coach, I just want to see, what have you seen from Cyrus Jones this year? How do you feel like he's come along at corner, and how well do you feel like he's played this season?
Well, Cyrus has done a nice job for us. You know, he plays with a lot of maturity. He's got a lot of experience. He's a very bright guy. He's got a good understanding of what he needs to do to be successful and how he needs to play. And he certainly played that way on a, you know, with more consistency, throughout this whole season, and hadn't given up a lot of big plays, and he's been, really one of our best performers. I think if you sort of look at the overall defense, I think his leadership has been a positive for us in the back end with some of the younger guys that we have in the secondary. So done a really good job on special teams as a punt returner, getting the ball fielded, not having issues with that, and making some positive returns. So I think he's been very productive.
Back over here to Aaron.
Does Cam have any nagging injuries that's limiting his play, and what have you thought of his play this year?
Well, Cam wasn't able to practice as much last week as what he usually does. And I think it's pretty typical that, when a player can't practice, sometimes it affects their performance a little bit. So, I think that was an issue with Cam this past week. Cam is a very good player for us. He's played really well at times this year. I don't think he would say, or I would say, that this last game was one of his best games, but we have a lot of confidence in him as a player, and we have a high expectation for, how we'd like for him to play and how he needs to play to help our offense be effective.
Right here with Mark.
Just when watching the film, what have you seen from the nickel and dime defensive groups when they've been on the field, and how much do you expect to be in those looks this week?
Well, I think we'll be in that look. They'll be in 4 wideouts and 3 wideouts, and that's when we're in those. So they determine how much we're in them. But, we've given up fewer big plays, which is a real positive. We've stopped the run a little better out of those fronts, and I think it's primarily because our front has done a really good job. And if you always have to add a guy in the box to stop the run, it really, puts you in a little more vulnerable coverage, which we had to do less of that this year, which is a compliment to our front. And the more we can continue to do that, I think maybe the better we can play in nickel. I think when we have to pressure to stop them, or to get pass rush, or to add a guy to the box, then you become more vulnerable in terms of giving up big plays and a much more difficult coverage.
Okay, in the middle with Michael.
I think you touched on that a little bit, but going back to the beginning of the year, the big talk was the 3 big things: the turnovers, explosive plays, and third downs. Stopping that on defense. Through 6 games, where do you think those areas have improved?
Well, we've improved, in those areas. We've gotten more turnovers. I still think we'd like to attack the ball more and, maybe get more fumbles out, recovered fumbles. We had one that we got out. Reggie got one out in this past game on a quarterback scramble, but that's the one area that we'd like to continue to improve on. I think our third down, getting off the field on third down has improved to some degree, but we're going to have to continue to do that to be successful, especially against a team like we played this week. And, we haven't given up as many big plays, and this is a big play offense that we're playing, so it'll be imperative that we do a good job in that regard in this game.
Back on this side with Ben.
You just touched on it there, the big plays that Texas A&M has. I think they have about a dozen of 40 yards or more. What do they do that tends to produce those big plays?
Well, they've got really good skill guys. They spread you out a lot. Sometimes they're in empty, sometimes they're just in 4 wides with the back. So, and the skill players that they have are, capable of beating you one-on-one. I think they have really, really good receivers. And, it's going to be a real challenge for us to be able to cover them and keep them cut off and not give them plays down the field. But, they have a really good play action schemes that go with, some of their running plays that make it really difficult. They utilize formation into the boundary. They do a lot of things that are real challenges when it comes to big plays. And if you make one mistake when you're that spread out, you got a chance for a guy to catch it and run with it, which they do a lot of that as well.
Okay, back over here with John Zena.
I had 2 questions. Secondary seems like has given up fewer big plays and made some big plays with interceptions and everything in the last few games. Has that group consistently progressed as this year's gone along?
Well, you know, we're getting better. We've, you know, still got a ways to go, I think, but I think, you know, the group has played with a little more consistency this year. I think that has helped us not to give up big plays. We've played smarter. We've made less mental errors. We've communicated better, and we put ourselves in position to make plays, and guys have been able to make them when they get the opportunity. So, you know, hopefully the challenge that we have this week will be able to step up and do a nice job against, you know, the best passing team I think we played to this point.
And Reggie Ragland, is he a guy that once he decided to come back for senior season really kind of has he gotten better in some areas as good as he was last year?
Well, you know, I think Reggie has improved. He's worked hard. You know, you would never know that there's any difference in terms of how he approached, you know, his work last year as relative to this year, and he's really responded well to the role of being the signal caller and the team leader, and done a really nice job for us and had a really good game this last game.
Up front with Dwayne.
Coach, wanted to ask you about Adam Griffith. He started off 0 for 4, and he made a lot of them in a stretch. Now he's kind of went back and forth. What do you attribute to his up and down this year?
Well, you know, he's very capable, and he's practiced well. He's made a lot of good kicks in practice. You know, I think, you know, mentally you got to have a positive attitude about what you're doing. You got to believe in it. You got to trust it. You got to think about what does it take to make the kick, not think about what is going to happen if I miss. And I think a lot of that is, you know, eliminating the negatives and focusing on the process of what you have to do to be consistent in what you're doing. Because there's, I mean, if you watch the guy practice, if you watch him warm up, I mean, he's as good a kicker as anybody in the country. But you got to be able to take it to the game by focusing on the very things that allows you to have the success in practice that you have.
Front with Ken.
You mentioned limiting negative plays. They've been very good at disrupting people, especially with Garrett and Hall. Talk about that challenge for your offensive front.
Well, I don't think there's any question about the fact that they've got some good edge rushers. You know, I think we've all seen and played against John Chavis quite a bit in the years at LSU, and know he's got lots of good pressures, and he's going to do things to try to get those guys in one-on-one situations, and they're good edge rushers, and they've been very disruptive, and if we don't block the edges well, we'll have some issues. So these are challenges to our protection and the protection scheme that we present, you know, to help our players have a chance to limit these guys being disruptive in the game.
In the middle with Alex.
A&M has a lot of second-year players that are big for them, quarterback, receivers, and that kind of thing. What kind of progress have you seen them made from last year to this year?
Well, I thought they had a good team last year. You know, we just kind of had a crazy game with them, and things went right for us and not much went right for them. But they had a good year last year. Those guys have all gotten better. You know, Cal Allen became the quarterback last year, so he got a lot of experience. He's a lot better player now than then, and I think he played very well then. But the knowledge and experience has helped him. Their receivers are really good. The addition of their #1 receiver, Kirk, who's a freshman, is a great returner. You know, I mean, as well as has 32 receptions. They've got really good skill players. Their players have gotten better. They've improved, which is a sign of a good program.
Last one on this side with John.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Christian Kirk. Just what has he brought to the table for them? And is he the kind of player that you assign one cornerback to kind of follow around or keep you kind of more typical defensive system?
Well, he doesn't really line up outside. All right, he's really lines up in the slot quite a bit. So you can't sort of just put a guy on him, especially a guy that's not used to playing on the slot. Corners usually play guys out here. But he is very explosive, great run after catch guy, very good out of a break, very quick, has good hands, great balance and body control. So, this guy's, a really, really good player, and you would never know he was a freshman by watching him play. So, he doesn't play that way. He has a lot of confidence and doesn't make a lot of mistakes in terms of what he's doing. So he's got a good understanding of what's required, and he does it very effectively.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.